Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Restituto, and today I have the absolute pleasure of having Austin Brown from Home Free here on the channel. Very, very, very excited. We had Tim Faust a while ago, actually, as one of the first interviews here on the channel, and now many interviews done, we have the absolute pleasure of having Austin here. So thank you so much, Austin, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you guys just finished with tour, and you guys release so much music. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me, man. Such an honor to be here, man. Really appreciate what you do. I think it's awesome. I love it so much.
Oh, thank you
And I'm
so
just glad
much.
to be here, man. Happy to get the chance to chat and make a new friend, man.
Oh, likewise, absolutely. That's the best part is making friends in these chats. You mentioned something that you were in a great mood for a couple different reasons, and I'm sure that there's some reason things you can't go into. But you said you got some cool news from Home Free, but also congratulations on the Bulldogs.
Go
Shout out to yeah,
Dogs!
you got
Let's
your
go! Oh,
exactly.
maybe I should just put it on right now. Oh my God,
Yeah.
dude, hope for a Georgia fan has been the worst like curse in the world of all time for my whole life. We've always been so good, and then when it matters, we just never could do it. And then last night, all that changed with like the perfect story of a rookie, not a rookie, a walk-on quarterback who wasn't even supposed to be playing. First walk-on to ever win the national championship. He's from a tiny, tiny town in Georgia. His dream was always to be a quarterback, and he rose to the challenge, man, at
I love
Georgia.
that.
And man, it was awesome. I haven't been. I'm gonna carry this mood. Let's hope I can just keep this
Amen to
for
that.
like a full year, man. I'm just gonna keep walking. I don't ever need anything again, honestly, in the sports world. I'm good. I'm good. I will never complain ever. If a team's not doing well, I'll be like, hey, there's always next year. I never believe that because I said
Hey.
that so many times,
Oh,
and
that's
it
too
did
funny.
not matter ever. Next year was just more pain. But finally, one gave it to me, man. Even if it's the only one in my life, I'm grateful, man. It was awesome to
That
experience that.
hopium can carry you quite some time now, so I'm happy for you
Oh
because it's
yeah,
not
for
even
sure.
hopium anymore. It's actual
Right.
real. Oh,
Yeah. Hey, maybe
congratulations.
maybe we're the new Alabama. Who knows?
That amen to that, man. That's amazing. That is so
Thank you,
cool.
man. I'm excited. I'm excited.
That is so funny. Now I'm not sure when we'll post this video, but when the people
Oh,
watch
for
this, they'll
sure.
all know.
They'll get it.
They'll
They'll
know what we're
get it.
talking about because this is some big
Oh
news for
yeah.
you guys. Congratulations.
Thanks,
So,
man.
for the very few people watching this that may not be familiar with who you are, can you give a little backstory on who you are, and then we'll kind of go into your background in music?
Sure, absolutely. I grew up in South Georgia in a small town called Tifton. My father was a Southern gospel musician. I don't know if you're very familiar with Southern gospel, but it's like largely quartet based, especially in like the guy world, right? So I grew up in Southern gospel quartet harmony. My father taught me to harmonize. I was always singing, and my earliest memories are me being on stage as a child singing Southern gospel music at like 3 or 4 years old. I had this one song I'd come out and sing called "Saved by Grace," and yeah, man. So I just always, and I remember in that moment, one day, driving down the road with my dad, and he was playing something on the radio, and I was probably like 5 years old. Another one of my first memories. I remember like hearing the song and like looking out the window, going to my grandma's house, and turning to my dad and be like, "I want to do this when I grow up." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Cool." And it was kind of all she wrote from there on, man. Like I got into high school and I thought, and people were like, "You got to have something to fall back on." And I just never believed it. I thought maybe I'll be a veterinarian, or maybe I'll be, like a philosophy major or something. But I just was a singer, man. I sang all through school. I got into high school. I got into music theater because that was like the place you could sing, right? And then I wound up going to college for music theater, and had an awesome experience there. Learned a lot. Took some formal voice lessons for about a year in high school, and then more so in college. And then after college, man, I just started working as a singer and loving it. I've always written music as well, and I kind of started that in college with a buddy of mine who is a really great songwriter and kind of taught me how to write. And yeah, so just since then, man, I've just been working. I worked in cruise ships. I worked in theme parks. I've worked on all kinds of private and personal stuff. I've put together so many quartets and a cappella groups over the years. And then I was working on a cruise ship when I actually met Home Free. They came on as guest entertainers. I was a production entertainer on the ship. I was, oh, dude, it was one of the most fun times of my life, honestly. I had my own cabin. I got to see the world. I saw everything that touches the Baltic Sea, everything that touches the Mediterranean Sea. I got to go to the Middle East for 3 months and have like 2 overnights for 10 weeks. So, like, I got to see so much of the world, the pyramids, Venice,
Wow.
Iceland. I mean, so many amazing things. And I also spent a few months in the Caribbean, which was also great because I was able to get my family on board for basically nothing. So that was cool. It was all such a, great experience. Learned a lot of stuff. And then I met Home Free and was like, oh, I want to sing with you guys. And we all got pretty tore up at the bar together that night. And they were like, well, he's getting ready to retire. We can't really talk about it yet, but okay. And I was like, awesome. And so 6 months after that contract, they called me up and were like, hey, do you want to come and sub in for a week? I think this would have been
Wow.
2012, and in like October. And I sang with them for a week in their, just touring all over the Midwest and for, fairs, festivals, and like subscription concert series is what they call them. And so, yeah, man, I did that for a week, had such a great time. Their their high tenor rather, an original founding member of the band, retired 2 months after that Christmas tour. And that January of 2013, I started full time with Home Free. And then we auditioned for the Sing Off, and then we won. And I mean, it's just been like full speed ahead ever since,
That's amazing. One of the things that I want to comment on, that you said a word several times throughout that, and I think that it's super, super important to say where you are today. And that word is work. I think that so many musicians, we have this idea of like, going into the industry, and I genuinely believe that it's possible for whoever puts their mind to it, but the key factor is work. He said, I was working in theme parks, I was working on cruise ships, I was working private, I was working, there's so many different things that you did, and all the different things that you started. You said you started all these groups and everything. It's so much work. And if you love it, it's not necessarily work, but it is work.
It still is. It is.
Exactly.
It took me a long time to understand that too, dude. Like,
but
for a long time, I didn't feel that way, about my work. I thought maybe, I hadn't worked that hard. It took me a long time to look back on it and go, no, I really did. I worked my butt off. And just because I loved most of it doesn't mean I wasn't working. And I've been like working now on rediscovering that sort of zest for the work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's part of the reason I love having these conversations, because I love talking to people that have had, the success that a lot of people are looking for, and showing that it is actually possible, with certain ingredients, with certain work ethic, with certain perseverance. I mean, you said you've been doing this your whole life, so like it takes time. It takes time. But I think the two biggest things are patience and hard work. And I think with that
just
combination,
keep going.
Exactly. So that is pretty remarkable, though. Another thing I think that also, you put yourself in these opportunities, for new opportunities, and it's, you did so many things, and then you finally just happened to meet Home Free, and you just, shot your shot, put your shot out there and was like, hey, I'd love to sing with you guys. And now here we are 9 years later, and you're still, or 8 years later, however, still singing with them is pretty remarkable.
Absolutely, dude. Like, I never in a million years did I think a cappella would be what would like be the foundation of my career. It was always just a hobby, because at that point, what was there in my experience at this point in my life? I look around, I don't see any a cappella groups that have it made except for Rockapella, and like I love those guys, and I thought that they like had it made in the shade forever, and they don't. They're just like us. You got to keep working if you want to like have a livelihood, right?
Absolutely.
And like, I didn't like, that's a lot of like, I know myself when I was a kid looking at the music industry, I thought anybody I heard on the radio or anybody I saw in a commercial on TV or whatever, I thought, oh man, they're set for life, already. And it took a while to realize, actually it didn't take long at all to go, oh, as soon as, these people, everybody you see that works in music and you see keeps coming back, those people are very, very, very hardworking. Like, I don't care what level they are. These people are tenacious about the amount of work they do, and it's important to love it. But like, man, self-discipline is something that I did not have for the bulk of my life. Okay. I worked hard, but I had no discipline just because of the nature of how I was brought up. And I think it's kind of a common theme with a lot of folks in this generation, in America, or the Western mind, maybe. Like, we all want to grow up like a Disney princess and just like, oh, some miracle happens and then we sail off into the sunset and we get to just like watch TV and go to shows and party, and for all the time. Nobody actually wants to work hard. But these last few years, I've really rediscovered just how awesome it can be to work hard and to discipline yourself when you start achieving goals, and you see how much faster everything happens when you just focus and tune out all the garbage of the world and just like focus on what's important right here, right now. Give back to your local community. I don't necessarily mean go out and volunteer. That can be great. But I mean like the people around you, your family, your friends who are working and close to you. Give to them consciously and constantly. And then things just happen if you're focused on what you're trying to, what you believe you want to do in this life.
That is so true. I very much agree with that. The more you give out to the people around you, the more things come back in just ways you would never expect. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I love that. So you got involved with Home Free 2013, you said, right? I think you said December of 2013.
I mean, December of my first time, I met them in 2012 on a cruise ship, and actually either late 2011 and then 2012, I actually got to hang out with them when they came back on the ship.
Oh, cool.
I sang one song with them in February on the ship. And then I did a tour with them in October of 2012.
Okay.
For 1 week. Just 1 week as like a trial run. And then January of 2013, I started full time with them.
Very cool. So Home Free's been around for a while. I think like the early 2000, either 2000 or 2002, I believe it was formed, right?
2000, man. Just right on the dot. Yeah,
Perfect.
This year we just hit 21 years, perfect. Christmas is 21 years for Home Free.
That's amazing.
It really
Home Free
is
legal to drink.
Right? It is, right? Home Free is legal to drink. And I will say really quickly, to just kind of keep going on what we've been saying, Adam Rupp and Chris Rupp and Matt Atwood, the guy whose place I took, they kept the band going. And this band went on for, it went on. Dude, the first 7 or 8 years of this band was so much work, and they lost so much money and time. They kept thinking, oh, this will be the time when we finally start to turn a profit. But they were doing it because it was fun. But they also knew that they could turn it into something. Chris Rupp is one of the most tenacious people I've ever met in my entire life. He's such a hard worker. And when they started the band, man, they just kept it going. And the things that they went through, they would have made 99.9% of the people in this world would have quit. Would have been like, we're done. This was fun. And they'd have gone and gotten another job or tried to do something else, and probably would have sang as a hobby for the rest of their life and been a little sad. But for some reason, they kept going. There are several stories that they have about how they almost quit because it was just so terrible in the pouring down snow, -20, and the van breaks down, and the trailer pops a tire, and they're all falling, trying to get stuff fixed, and they're stuck after losing money to go do a show. But they kept going. And I'm so grateful for that, because whenever I was able to join the band in 2013, they had a good thing going at that point.
Yes.
So it was just a blessing for me to join at that point. I was like, this is awesome. Paying our dues, traveling around in a van, getting up super early, driving to the next show, staying in a hotel every night, with a roommate, you know what I mean? We're all sharing rooms, but it was awesome. We paid our dues. So,
100%. I'm smiling because I relate to that so much, man. And as being a musician myself, some of the gigs I've played are,
man.
I talk all the time about I played this bar once, and thank God I was getting paid for the gig. But I'm pretty sure they sent me home early because I was literally playing to an empty bar, and it was so empty the bartender went into the back. So I was literally playing of course it was free practice, I guess you could say, but
sure. I get
it's a bit of a punch to the pride, you know what I mean?
It is, right. Yeah, but that's why you can't do it for anything else but yourself, you know what I mean?
True.
Because it feels good to you, that's why you do it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, you give in so many ways, but you do the music because you want to do the music.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in addition to the sing-off, as you guys won that, what are some hallmark moments that you were oh, this is taking Home Free to the next level between 2013 and now, or 2012 and now? Were there some monumental things oh, this was a big this helped us a lot?
I mean, when Kenny Rogers reached out to us, we didn't do anything to try and get in touch with him. He reached out to us. That was really incredible. And And through that process, we made a friend and somebody who was very kind to us in his final years. He was just such a gem, and we could talk about him for a very long time. But there was a moment that came, maybe 2 years after the sing-off, whenever we had worked with Kenny at the Christmas on his Christmas album, "Children Go Where I Send Thee," and dude, he was so kind. And then we had an opportunity to go and do The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, with Kenny Rogers. And we were so ecstatic. We were over the moon. Okay. We had a show, sold out show. Actually, no, it wasn't even sold out. This was back whenever we first were doing Nashville as a venue. So we were at the T-Pack, and I think we had 1,200 people there, and it's like a 1,400 seat venue or something like that, but it's still a great, great crowd. We had a great night, and then we had to get up the next morning, be on a plane at 6 a.m. to go to New York and go do the Tonight Show. We're ecstatic. So we get up, we get to the airport, we're on Twitter. Oh my gosh, we're going to do the Tonight Show. And we get on the plane, they're like, mechanical difficulties.
Oh no.
And we're like, oh no, we have time. That's why we flew so early. It'll be okay. We have time. We get off that plane. we board another plane. Mechanical difficulties.
Oh,
at this time, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We then by flight, but we bought tickets on 3 different airlines for New York at this point. We're like, we have to do it. It doesn't matter. It's a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity for us at this point. We got to go do this. So and then we get on the 3rd flight on American Airlines. Now we've been on Delta, and we get there. They're about to shut the door, and pilot comes over. Sorry, they've closed down New York due to fog.
Oh my gosh!
We can't go anywhere till the fog's cleared. You got to deplane. We're like, what? We're freaking out on Twitter. Like, what's gonna happen? This is terrible. American Airlines. Wow, Delta. And our fans are getting the play-by-play, right?
What year was this?
So this would have been probably 2015, maybe we won the thing off in 2013. I think it's 2015 would be my best guess. It might be 2016, but I'm gonna say approximately one of those 2 years. Okay. So anyways, we deplane. At this point, we are able to charter a private jet from Nashville we're on the phone with this Tonight Show the whole time too, because we're supposed to be there by 10 a.m. And we're on the phone with them the whole time. They're like, it's okay. If you get here by such and such a time, then you can still do the show. We can work the schedule and the rehearsal stuff and the sound checks and the spot checks and all this stuff you got to do for TV. And we were like, okay, it's gonna be fine. Oh my God, and we're vomiting. We're green, because this is way back in the day, especially. We can't afford $20,000 on a private jet at the drop of a hat, but we did it, right? We put it on a credit card. We were like, well, we'll figure it out, right? We have to do this with Kenny Rogers, the Tonight Show. So we leave the airport. We go to the other airport near B&A right over here in Nashville. And the jet's there and ready for us. We're waiting on the pilot. We get on the phone with them, and we paid for the jet. And what happens when you do something like that? You pay for half of it up front. Then you pay for the other half at the end of the flight, the return flight, right? We're like, okay, whatever. So we paid them half up front. We're about to get on the flight, and they tell us, you guys, sorry, we changed our mind. You can't do it. You're not going to be on the Tonight Show. Sorry. We're like, but it's before. We can still get there before the 10. They're like, we don't care. Sorry. It's TV, and they make decisions in a jiffy, and it's just how it is. So we're just defeated, destroyed, right? We just spent so much money, at a time when we especially didn't have anything like that. We're going all into credit at this point. You know what I mean? The band is just the first 3 or 4 years. That's the other thing. For the first 3 or 4 years of Home Free, we're operating in a deficit, because that's what you have to do touring. And it's because we have promoters who are willing to take the hit and lose the money and pay us, because they believe that we'll eventually be able to tour and make them the money back that they've been paying,
Wow.
right. So it's like, anyways, I could talk about that forever. So anyways, like it was early days for Home Free in terms of like building our business.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Business is a key word, actually. I think so many
Right.
musicians
Absolutely.
don't think of their career as a business, and they get screwed.
It's a business. Absolutely. Just as much as it's art. It's a business.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we're defeated and destroyed. And of course, like that was back when I still was on Twitter, and active. And I, oh my God, we're not going to be able to go to the Tonight Show. And everybody's just like destroyed. And of course we paid for this private jet. We're just like, well, what are we going to do? Oh my God. And then the Tonight Show called us back and they're like, hey guys, oh no. So then we went to the jet and we were like, hey dude, can we please have our money back? I'm so sorry. He was like, no guys, I'm sorry. That's not how this works.
You're going to New York regardless.
We paid the pilot for a day already. Like, it's not like you may as well just go to New York.
Nah.
And we were like, called the Tonight Show. They were like, hey, sorry about this, but they can still come backstage. Kenny said that they can hang out in his dressing room if they want to, and they can just come backstage and like hang out backstage at the Tonight Show. So we were like, okay, right. So we go to the Tonight Show. We get there. We flew in a private jet, the like least fun private jet experience you could ever have, right? At least going there. And we get to New York. We get to the Tonight Show, and we have just a really beautiful time bonding with Kenny backstage. He talks to us for hours, telling us stories about Nashville, about country music, about all the stars, about what it's like. He told us the story about his career. And he said, boys, just let me tell you something. Don't worry about today, man, because you guys are going to be here for a while and you don't want to rise fast. He was like, the slower that you rise to the peak of your career, the much more graceful your longevity will be on its decline. And we were like, thanks, Kenny. You're right.
Bro,
thanks,
that quote gave me chills, man. That's so important.
It really meant a lot. We learned a lot that day. I got to meet Channing Tatum. It was the first time any of the Roots had brought their mother to the show since the show started because they wanted to meet Kenny Rogers. Channing Tatum really wanted to meet Kenny Rogers. He comes and goes, hey, man, Chan. I was like, yeah, man. Wow. Cool. This is odd. His name's Chan. His friends call him Chan. It was a really, really great experience. We're still out on this money. We're like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's almost the end of the story. So anyways, it was a beautiful experience. It wasn't our time to do, the Tonight Show yet. We'll still get there one day. It's going to happen. I have no doubt.
Oh, shoot. Wait. So at the end of the story, you still didn't even get to play it?
No, we were just visiting. We got to hang out backstage.
I thought at the end they were going to be like, okay, guys, actually, we worked it out. You guys can still play. No, oh, my gosh. That's crazy. No. But I agree with you. Like, I like how you phrased it at the end. You said, like, we'll get our chance. Excuse me. I love that hope. Not that expectation that it's like that's where we will be, because I think that is a very important aspect of like there's this like work ethic, of course, that comes with it, but also you need to have this expectation of yourself that you will be there, even if people think you're crazy, which I'm not saying you are, because I have that same expectation. No, you know what I mean? Like
absolutely, that's what it is.
Same expectation.
You have to know, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
And not only do you have to know, but you have to. Yes, and you have to know, and you also have to put the work in, which you guys absolutely are. So I fully believe that for you guys. But sorry, so the end of the story continue. The
end of the story goes, we basically just like shot ourselves in the foot financially for like the next year and a half, and we're like, whatever, it's fine. It was worth it. We got this experience. We'll get another chance. It wasn't meant to be. Kismet, it's going to happen when it's meant to happen. And we learned so much from that experience, right? Still, even though it hurts, pain doesn't have to bring suffering, right? Pain can be good for you. So we go back out on tour. We still have like a couple weeks left of tour, and it's literally every day, all day on all social media. We have people tweeting us, fans, home prize, saying, hey guys, let us help you pay for the jet. Let us help you pay for the jet. Come on, guys. We know how big of a deal this is for you. Let us help you pay for the jet. And like at this point, we all feel kind of guilty that we even like let people know that happened. But it was a very emotional moment, right, in that day. And we were also much younger at that point too, relatively speaking. So they knew and they wanted to help. And we talked long and hard about it. And after a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 days before tour ended, right around Christmas, we thought, you know what, guys, it's okay to say we need something in this moment. And, we've
Mm.
never done anything like this ever since. But we put up a GoFundMe. The cost of the jet and the whole experience was roughly like $25,000. And so we put up a GoFundMe asking, saying, hey, we're trying to raise 10 grand to just like incur some of these expenses to help us like balance this. And we put it up at 8 p.m. on a Friday night at a show. I think we were in South Dakota. And in 45 minutes, by intermission, we had raised the 10 grand we were looking for.
Holy
And
smokes.
that was still before we had any idea how great our fans were.
Mm.
Like, we knew they were amazing, but we didn't realize just how like once in a lifetime, like bands don't have this experience kind of thing that was. And in basically one day, we had raised $25,000 and we cut it
Wow.
off. We stopped it and we were like, hey guys, we didn't lose money. Like, because our fans, I think 5,000 people, made that
Wow.
happen. You know what I mean? Like, so many people were like, here's $5. And it just blew our minds. And that was the moment for me. That was like the defining moment for me to go, wow, Home Free can last forever. We don't need anything else other than the people who love us right now. That's all we need. And and we can just enjoy it and do our best to give back to them with the music that we make and with the interactions that we can afford, especially pre-COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully still post-COVID, post-show meet and greets and things like this. You know what I mean? Just like we signed after every show for like 6 years up until COVID. You know what I mean? It's something that I hope we get back to do because we get to actually look people in the face and say, hey, and hundreds of people come through every night. And it's one of those things that we just love doing because our fans are so incredible. Yeah. And I think that experience in particular is my most like heartfelt, beloved story of just how incredible the Home Free Nation is.
That is tremendous. And I actually want to piggyback on that to say how that ties in with Kenny's comment to you, because the slower the growth, the deeper the growth. As a metaphor of like the classic like tree, like the little tree starts off so tiny and then it takes 100 years for it to grow, but the root system that it has, the girth around the this tree stump and the strength of everything else is so much more than something that flash fries in the oven. And I think that's a big testament to so many of these artists that get instant fame overnight, from a viral video, but there's nothing supporting it. So like, if they put out something for 25, they could have 100 million followers, but because it was so fast and so
absolutely,
there's no foundation there. So that is, I think, a testament even to that comment that Kenny made to you guys.
Amen, man. And it's a reason why so many people who are on reality television in particular don't realize their potential. It's not because they don't have it; it's because they don't do it. When you go, if you're not from the music industry and you want to be in the music industry and then you find success on a reality TV show, you think that the TV show is going to give you the resources to make you what you want to be. And that's just not how it works. That unless you're Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood, for the most part, you have to go find a manager and you have to know how to choose the right manager. And you have to hope that manager wants to manage you and will put as much time and effort into you as ours has. We have the best manager in the world, but it's all about your team and how hard you work to make things happen. A record label doesn't make things happen. You have to make things happen, and then they're like, here to their resources.
Are you guys signed
and
to
I don't
a label?
mean just writing. We were in a record deal with Columbia from the show, and they were very kind to us. But it just was it wasn't the best deal for us in the long run. And we have an incredible lawyer that the band has actually had since well before I was in it. And he's like one of the top-notch music lawyers in the industry. Like, just because he's from Minneapolis, like he was the executor of Prince's estate. Okay. Like, and Home Free just happened to have him as a lawyer. So that's like one of the most sort of kismet synchronistic things, I think, for us, because he's been very kind to us and helped us a lot over the years. and he helped us get out of our deal with Columbia.
Yes, I
Whenever they got a
remember
new
Tim talking
Sony
about
Columbia.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. And
Tim
so
talking
he
about
helped
you
us
guys
get
getting
out
out
of our
of it.
deal. Yeah. And now, after that happened, we started our own record label. And we have an independent distribution deal with Orchard, and they're great. But we have our own record label, man, and it makes all the difference. It really does. And I like to imagine that one day, like, our record label will last indefinitely, and we'll probably do more with it. But sometime in the next, 2 to 5 years, I imagine we'll sign another record deal whenever the
Really
terms yeah, when the terms are what we want them
favorable.
to be.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, we don't ever have to sign a baloney TV contract ever again, and the sing-off was very kind to us. Make no mistake about it. The contract was one of the more friendly contracts in all of reality TV. And more importantly, the label let us do what we wanted to. So that was cool, They just
cool.
sort of, but that's the biggest thing. So many people, so many labels and people on reality TV shows, they get these deals, but the label lets you do what you want to, and they don't know what or how to do. They don't promote themselves. They don't work tirelessly and constantly to capitalize on the audience that they were just presented to. And because they think somebody else is supposed to help them do it. They think somebody else is supposed to do all that stuff for them, and they're just the artist.
Yeah.
But it's quite the opposite. It's just as much, it's 90% business and 10% music.
That is probably one of the truest things out there that people don't realize. And I think what you were just saying is how so many musicians get screwed is because they're looking for that person to do, like, to get them to that next level.
Yeah, they want somebody to hold their hand.
Exactly, which we all need a team and everything, but they're looking for that manager or that promoter, and then they get themselves in these deals that they shouldn't be in, and then they're just screwed, So absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, man.
So I'm curious about the community of the acapella community. There's a couple of names out there that are, some of the top tier, Home Free being included in that top tier acapella groups. I'm curious if the acapella artist community is a small community. Like, do you guys, are you guys all friendly with each other?
Oh my God, yeah, man. The acapella community is such a small world, and it seems to be getting smaller somehow.
Really?
But yeah, we have so many good friends because acapella festivals and things, especially like Peter Hollins. He was a friend of mine way before I knew Home Free, because I was working on cruise ships, and he'd worked for Royal Caribbean as a singer as well. And he wrote a show. Are you familiar with Peter Hollins? He's like, well, we got 2 or 3 million subscribers on YouTube now, right? I've known him since way back. You know what I mean? I worked in an a cappella group at Disney World as well, called the Voices of Liberty. And it introduced me to a much deeper a cappella community. And then just, the music theater world is like kind of just adjacent to the a cappella world as well. There's a lot of people that sort of run in and out. So absolutely, dude. I mean, of course, everybody from the show we're still really good friends with. That might be the best part of the sing-off, like all the success and like the audience that we were presented to is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But like the friends we made have lasted and will certainly last forever.
Were people like Ben Bram still involved in the show back then when you were involved?
Yeah. Yep. Ben Bram was there, and dude, it took me weeks to realize who Ben Bram was. Like, I mean that on a more personal context, because I had auditioned for the very first season of The Voice, and I thought I had the best audition of my entire life. I was like, man, I sang so well. I felt good about it. I was like, whatever happens, happens. And this guy looked at me. He was like, okay, thank you, next. I was like, oh.
I had the same response.
Cool. And so I just moved on. And then we're on the sing-off, and we're like 3 or 4 weeks in. We filmed 2 or 3 episodes. And I'm looking at Ben, and then it finally clicks in my head. And I was like, wait a minute. No way. Ben, I have a question. He was like, yeah, man, what's up? I was like, did you ever were you like a judge in like the preliminary rounds for The Voice? And he was like, yeah, dude. I was like, dude, I totally sang for you.
Oh, that's
in Nashville,
wild.
The first season. He was like, oh my God, Nashville was such a shit show. He was like, oh man, I had no sleep. I was running on only coffee. He was like, did I let you through? And I was like, no, you didn't even blink at me. And he was like, I could see he was like thinking I was going to be offended about it or something. Or I don't know. I could just tell he was like, this is awkward. You know what I mean? And I was like, and of course it all worked out. Like I have no hard feelings. And in that moment I didn't either. But the fact that just blew my mind, And he was like, I guess everything happens for a reason, man.
Mm.
You know, Ben texts
Mm.
me every once in a while now still,
Oh,
yeah,
hello to the
man.
puppy. You can see the puppy now. He's hanging out. That's cool.
Oh yeah,
Is
he's
he?
been in my lap all this time. This is Coda Bear.
How are you?
This is Coda. And you might hear him walking around in the background every once in a while. There's a 110-pound pit bull here too.
Yeah, I saw him walking through every once in a while. I didn't realize Kodo was on your lap the whole time. That's too funny. Dude, that is
Well,
so funny of a story with Ben. And I had the pleasure of meeting Ben through he was on an interview a couple months back.
oh,
So
awesome.
he's such a nice guy too. So, but I could, that is too funny of a story, man. I love
Yeah,
that. So
man.
it is a very small community. Absolutely. So
It
I would
really
love to
is. It
talk
absolutely
about,
is.
you guys are just wrapping up on tour, and then I would love to kind of go into, some of your personal music as well. So I love that,
Sure, absolutely.
but you guys just wrapped up on tour. I had the absolute phenomenal pleasure of seeing you guys live in Texas. It was a blast, and it was a really cool opportunity. Shout out to the subscribers actually, because the subscriber reached out and was like, "Hey, I have these meet and greet tickets. If you can get to Texas, they're yours because we have an extra ticket." And I was like, "Absolutely, I can get to Texas for sure. How would I miss up an opportunity to see Home Free and then to meet and greet them?" Turns out Turns out we missed the meet and greet because the email went to her spam, and I know. And then I messaged Tim and I was like, "Hey Tim, I happened to be in Texas to see you guys, but we missed the meet and greet," and that's how I ended up going backstage to see you guys. But it was a phenomenal experience. I want to talk about tour life because it's I think so many musicians that start off on tour, they don't realize how hard it is, and especially even supporters of the music, fans or anything. They don't realize it's a grind, and I'd love to just chat about tour. So,
Yeah, man.
if you have something to say, yeah, go. Oh, I was gonna say, are there any, anything? How do you manage your home life and tour life? Like, it's tough when you're away from home for so long. How do you personally manage it? We'll start with that.
It is, man. Well, I've been, I'm one of the ones that's not married, right? But this most recent tour, I do have a lovely girlfriend, and this most recent tour, after being off for a year and a half, no, of the road, was definitely a challenge, but honestly more beautiful than any tour I've ever been on. Um, it's a strange thing to balance and to get used to, and you're not everybody's made for it. And the biggest thing is like when we first started, we were still young. We just come off the show, and I mean, not now, but I mean, like we were kids mentally, right? We just won the show. We're feeling like rock stars. We're partying every night. We're drinking all the time. That stopped really quickly though, because you can't be an a cappella band and drink all the time and be good. You just can't. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a rock star and pull that off, but vocally, it's not how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been years of us getting better at being on tour. But I will say I've loved it the whole time. I was made for this. I grew up dreaming about wanting to be on tour buses. I toured around with my father in South Georgia a little bit, not on a tour bus, but enough. And it's a strange thing to get used to, but I certainly did, and I absolutely love it, man. Tour life has never really been a struggle for me. I'm a very independent person. I have a very independent relationship with my family. I left home at a very young age and have been on my own until the pandemic happened. I had not been home or in one place for more than 3 or 4 weeks since college.
Mm.
Cruise ships kind of count because I was in a cabin for 9 months, but we were all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but literally since then, like with Home Free, I didn't have an apartment. I lived in LA for a little while. I paid for an apartment in LA for a couple years. But I was never in it.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm never paying rent ever again. I'm just going to live on my friends and family's couches because we tour so much at that point, especially that I don't need a place to live and I can save money to buy a house. So I did that, man. And I love tour. I still love tour. I sleep so good on the tour bus and it is very much a struggle, but at times, and it's more about, but I think that's less about tour and more about me trying to be a better person and like my surroundings reminding me of days before when I do all the time. And now, the last couple of years, I've really like gotten way better at doing any of that stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like and being back on tour, you kind of want to jump right back into how it used to
Mm.
be way back when. But yeah, man, we're all just everybody's matured so much in the band, and we all like each other. We all like hanging out together, and so it's really just it's brotherhood at this point, man.
I
Hanging
love
out on the
that.
bus, being on tour is really great, and I think that the struggle way more so is with Rob and Adam Rupp, and now Tim, who all have wives and children at home. Tim obviously has no children, but that's definitely much harder than anything I can
Sure.
experience on tour because
Sure.
I love traveling,
Mm.
and having nothing to do. Man, do you know how much I love an off day on tour? Just being in a hotel and I have nothing that I have to do. That doesn't happen when you're at home,
Mm.
I
That's a great point.
because so I love it, man. I really do. I really
That's
do.
a
I've
great
been
point.
fortunate in that I haven't had to struggle with it.
That's a great point. You know what? It's each their own. I love that, actually. It's actually very encouraging because you hear so many horror stories of how much people hate touring. It's actually really encouraging to hear the complete opposite of that. So good for you. That's really cool.
Thanks, man.
You carry such a phenomenal stage presence when you perform. I was high. That was one of the things I was like most highly impressed with when in watching the performance. Obviously, you guys sound as a group sounded phenomenal. The stage presence, even the set was all phenomenal. But I was really impressed with how you carry yourself on stage. There's a serious level of confidence, and just the way you carry yourself. I assume that a lot of that comes with experience. The more you do it, the better you get. But if you had to recommend for an earlier artist, somebody starting off, right, they're just starting to perform or anything, what would be one tip that you could give them to be more comfortable on stage?
Absolutely. You're definitely right. That's something that I've grown into more and more over the years. But but I think that the most important thing is that the audience expects you to be a strong and commanding presence if they're coming to your show, if they see
That's a
you on
great point.
stage. Okay. So give them what they expect,
That's a
even
great
if you
point.
don't feel it. Okay. Because there were moments in time where for a year at a time, I was not happy on tour with Home Free. And that has nothing to do with Home Free. I was going through some things personally in my personal life, that were really making it very hard for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was, emotional and crying all the time off stage, and then I found a therapist and I've done a lot of inner work, and I'm in a better, more balanced and happy place now for, a couple, 3 years now than I've ever been before. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I say that to say that when I went on stage, my inner monologue didn't matter. Okay. I don't feel good, but you know what? I'm going to show feeling good. I don't mean fake it. I'm just going to show it. It's like I went to college for music theater, which is an acting degree at my college, right? So there's a big part, like fake it till you make it is a real thing. If you, it's like in acting, oh, you want to be mad, but you're not mad. And how do I just get mad? You just start acting mad, and then you'll start to feel it. The
Mm.
feeling will come, right? So in the same way, if you're on stage and you're nervous and afraid, that's okay. That's totally fine. That's normal. Those are feelings that make most of us artists and musicians thrive, because that means that the moment's important,
Wow.
especially as you get more seasoned as an entertainer, and you're way less prone to being nervous. When you are nervous, it's almost like, oh, I feel young again. Like, oh my God, this is an important, like we're about to go on stage for this really important thing. Like,
That's
I feel like
funny.
I'm 12 again,
That's
and the
funny.
moment's so brand new. And then you
I
step out
love
there
that.
and your muscle memory takes over. The most important
Yes.
thing
Yes.
is make sure you know the material so much that you never doubt. If you come on stage and you're afraid you might forget something, you don't know the material well enough. You just don't. You need to do the material over and 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 over again before you come on stage. Okay. I mean, like I could have kept going there. Okay. To make a point. Like
Yeah.
and so first off, if you know the material, everything else can go away. And secondly, when you get on stage, love the moment and show the people what they want to see. And then you will be that.
Yeah.
It will just happen. So there were so many times, and especially in the first few years, yeah, I'm nervous as all get out, but I'm gonna bring my chest up, you know what I mean? Hold my head high. This is what I've always wanted. I'm gonna step into the moment. Let me accept it, and I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show them that I'm having fun. And I think that might be the other most important thing, is have fun and tell yourself to have fun. Have fun on stage. That's the moment that we live for. That's the most enjoyable part, arguably, of this whole experience.
Yeah.
Is doing a show. It's got to be the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Hearing
the crowd roar, is the best thing that can happen.
I love
that. So
just,
yeah, man, that's really it. Just mean it. And even if you doubt it, that's okay. Let your action define what the people do. Don't let your feelings come out in your actions. Let your preparation come out in your action, and eventually you will feel that confidence.
That's phenomenal, man. I think that's going to help a lot of people that are starting off in their performance. So that's a great tip. Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
In venturing into your own career, Home Free is your career, but you're also have your own personal solo career, I guess you would call it, as well as Home Free as well. How do you manage the balance of not becoming a cover band or a cover artist?
Well, we are a cover artist to some degree. Like
Absolutely.
There's no shame in any label, okay? Because we have many of them. All right.
That's a great point.
And it's less about an idea of a cover band. It's more about our fans. Like the fans who can pay for a private jet that cost us way too much money at the drop of a hat. What do they want to hear, man?
Wow. Yeah.
Like, give them what they want to hear. 50%, honestly, more than that. But like we've said for years, like 50% of our music that we make is for our fans, and the other 50% is for us. And hopefully they like that too. That. But like we choose songs that we know they'll love. You know what I mean? And we usually love them too. And if we don't, we almost always wind up loving it, right? Like we never would have chosen Ring of Fire for ourselves ever in a million years, because how do you reinvent that song? And then the show made us do it. They're like, no, trust us. And we'd told them no to several other songs in previous weeks. And then we got to that one and they were like, that one. And we're like, oh God, no. And they're like, come on. And you could tell the producers were like, Deke, go make them do it. And so we were like, okay. And we worked through it and then we did it. And we were so afraid that song was going to be Johnny Cash is rolling over in his grave. But people loved it. And we love it. We love it. Yeah. But we never would have thought we would have loved it, but we learned to get outside the box. And don't overthink stuff, man. Just serve the fans. You know what I mean? This music is for them. So we are going to be a cover band for the rest of our life. That does not mean that we're not, a legitimate band and that we won't make just as much great original music,
I love that. That is such a great point, especially the part where you were like talking about how, serving them and you start to love it yourself, in the sense of like, as Absolutely. You like serve, as seeing them excited makes you want to do it and makes you want to do more of it. That's a phenomenal point. I really think that is great. What can we expect from you in this upcoming year and any solo work that you've been doing? You've had some serious covers rip open on YouTube, man.
Dude, I think one of them has
8 million views or something like that.
Yeah, Unchained Melody's got like over 8 million views. And
it's phenomenal.
I was so insecure to release that song. My girlfriend helps me manage all of my solo work and my solo community at austinbrownmusic.com, which is very much like Home Free's Patreon, basically, but a lot different at the same time. But it's a great community, and that song I'm singing in a very formal way. It's something that I've had to get used to. I'm still getting used to balancing it. And that is, like, I sing in so many different ways. You know what I mean? Like, I can sing in this real guttural country, man of constant sorrow kind of way. And it's so authentic. But then I can also do, like, really formal music theater or even, like, vocal performance kind of things. And Unchained Melody to me is kind of like that in a lot of ways. And I felt like it was just so simple.
Yeah.
I felt like it was so simple. And as an artist, you want to, even though you work through these things over the years, and sometimes you think you've totally mastered the art of like not caring what other people are going to think. I was just afraid that like people would think, or my peers would just be like, oh, that's like, okay, he's singing loud and high. Like, what, it's just simple.
Yeah.
I never in a million years would have guessed it would do that. And then Amberly has been managing my website, and she was like, "Hey," because it was private for 3 or 4 months, and she was like, "Hey," and only my patrons and super fans could have access to it, and they loved it, and I
To
knew
that
they
video.
would, right?
Oh wow.
And so
Okay.
finally, she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna make this video public, okay? I'm gonna start releasing
Wow.
these like once a month," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, do it, just do it, just do it," and I just kind of wiped my mind from it. I didn't think about it anymore, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, it had 1 or 2 million views, and my mind exploded. It changed everything for me. It changed everything for me because it gave, I got, I've got almost 200,000 subscribers now. And it's, from that video is like,
Yeah.
The main catalyst for that experience. And it taught me that I can really do whatever I want to.
Wow. Yeah.
And I can keep doing, because I'm gonna do contemporary, Christian contemporary country music. You know what I mean? As I'm gonna release a whole country album, and to some degree, there's a lot of plans right now, and I'm gonna film all these music videos, and work with my fans just like Home Free does to underwrite the costs of the music videos.
Cool.
And to underwrite the cost of the production. And I have been saving as much money as I possibly can with any of the ad revenue that I've been able to make from YouTube to be able to pay for promotion, because you got to do it yourself. Can't wait for somebody else to do it. But there are some there's just a few paths this could go down. So 3 or 4 months ago, I was about to release another song and do a video of an original song, and a lot of stuff changed in the Home Free world, in some of my personal relationships, and some of my business relationships as well, in a good way, that made me go, okay, I can't rush this. Like, I want to rush this. I want to just stay consistent, and I can be consistent, but not yet. I know that the time is not now. I know now is the time of preparation and like reconsolidating ideas, because there are going to be some announcements made this year that are going to surprise a lot of people.
Cool.
And I'm not going to allude to anything else.
Sure.
But yeah, man, my solo career is something that I'm very proud of because it's fun for me.
That's great.
And it doesn't matter how it succeeds commercially, because my personal super fans and patrons, my I don't even know what we call them, but the home fries who love Austin Brown and helped me get through the pandemic. You know what I mean? By supporting me personally and helping me, pay for the mortgage. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it changed a lot of things for Home Free. Okay, buddy?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have incredible business managers, and we had a long plan for some crazy thing like this, if it happened, to sustain us for like a year or two. And fortunately, things have kind of come back to rolling now. And that's also why we doubled down on making more music, was to make sure that we could figure out a way to get through this pandemic thing, because we make the bulk of our money from touring. And so not being able to tour was a huge thing. And so it kind of forced me to do something that I had thought I would do down the line, but was never expected to start my own solo career during the pandemic. But then there was hey, I'm stuck at home and I'm not doing anything else. Let me make the best of this. Let me put in some work, and let me give to these people and see what they want from me. What are the people who love my music? What are the people who love me from Home Free and love me personally and my ethos? What do they want from me? And so I've gotten to know them, man. I have made so many personal relationships that I never expected through the fans. That I just 5 years ago, man, the idea of me knowing fans, I was that's not what stars do. That's not what musicians do. You know what I mean? And now it's come full circle to me being I can't imagine being anything without them now. And I just love getting to know them.
Yes.
And down the line, I know that as my success grows, my relationships with these people are going to be the same,
Couldn't agree more. I actually, sorry, continue.
That's the most important part of my solo career, really, is those people who, just like supporting Home Free, have supported me now and continue to do so, and allow us to I'm branching out. I'm going to part of, my girlfriend and I have started an outdoor channel as well, which is kind of part of the website,
Cool.
like, so we're going to be doing more. I don't have to do just music anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
I love that. And I think that is super important, actually, just to show as much of your life as you're comfortable with, because so many people will connect to you on different levels. But
Yeah.
I completely agree with you about just the relationships that we've created through the music. I hate the word fans personally. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. Like supporters, whatever you want to call it.
They're patrons,
Exactly.
You can call them patrons.
Yeah.
Patreon doesn't own that word.
It's true. But I want to be respectful of your time, so I don't want to take you too long. I want to get into some of these. I appreciate that. I want to get into some subscriber questions actually for you. But one of the things that the channel just recently, about a month ago, hit 100,000 subscribers, and as I was
congratulations, man! Yeah, I see that in the background.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I was like really excited, leading up to it, 70, 80,000 subscribers, and then once I started getting closer, I put a post out about this, and I think it's super important, and you totally hit on it. I was like, it just lackluster. I was like, it was cool, like whatever, like it doesn't really matter to me, like, and I was like, why is this? And it made me uncomfortable. It's like, why am I not excited for this? And then I realized, I was like, that number means nothing. It's all about the people that I've met throughout the way, that I've become such good friends with, that have, like, people, like, I just was recently really sick, and people sent me, they paid for a Disney Plus subscription for me and sent me, it was like, hey, look, like, we know you're sick while you're recovering. Like, here's a Disney, like, that is so cool, man. Like, the relationships.
It is, man.
That's what it's all about.
And every little thing goes so far. You know?
It's not the numbers. It's not the plaques. It's the people that you've met along the way. I couldn't agree more with that. I love that. That's so true, man. And so many people miss that, and they miss the opportunity to have the relationships, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's great, man. So I have a couple questions from some subscribers. So let's get right into them. This one is from this. So this kind of goes into your branching into to you personally a little bit, like showing a little bit the outdoors channel and everything. This is from Brady, and he wants to know what some of your favorite things to watch or channels to watch here on YouTube are.
Man, okay, gosh, you know what, I'm just gonna be honest, I'm gonna be authentic here. The thing I watch more than anything else on YouTube these days has been basically like crypto education.
Dude,
cryptocurrency education.
100%. People know on my channel, well, I'm a musician, I make my own music, but all I watch on YouTube is finance stuff. That is so funny.
Right. I started at the beginning of the pandemic. I was like, no, I need to know.
Oh, I gotta know who some of these channels
I really gotta
you watch
learn.
are. Who are some of the channels? I gotta know.
Oh my gosh. God, I mean, I watch it like my favorite crypto person is Benjamin Cowan. He's just so educational. I love Crypto Crew University. I love I think it's True Sense. Is that it? He's a finance guy. Let's see.
Do you watch any of the other finance channels like Meet Kevin or Graham Stephan?
Yeah, I do from time to time. Absolutely. I don't subscribe to them yet but that is huge for me. And then the other side is spiritual content. I love Russell Brand. I love Sadhguru. Those are probably my two favorite things on YouTube, along with the crypto stuff.
I love that.
Is Russell Brand and Sadhguru. And speaking of just being balanced, I think I got to let my cat in or he's going to freak out on me. So come on in. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. All right. Yeah, man, that's a great question, though. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
That's a fun question. I agree. Getting to see a little. Oh, look. Now the cat's joining us. I love that.
This is Dog.
I love it. Nice to meet you, Dog.
You walked in the yard, and my buddy was like, "What's up, Dog?" I was like, "That's his name."
That is too funny. I love that. This question comes from Karen, and I'm curious about how Home Free selects songs.
Well, first off, we have a running list because so many people have. Again, we take suggestions. You know what I mean? We have one album that was all suggestions.
Wow,
we took a poll of
that's really cool.
We took a poll of Home Free's most requested songs, and we basically did like the top 10 of them. Country Evolution, I think, is the one that was. Yeah, man. And after that, it's just it's such a seemingly random experience. We do stuff that we love, that we've always wanted to do, and then we're always doing things that we think people will love. You know what I mean?
Do
Because
you ever have
we
trouble
built
with
our
clearing
business.
songs?
No, not at all. YouTube handles the bulk of that. You know, we also
Oh, so
have.
you just do it and then put it out there and
You
then.
don't have to have a song cleared at all. Not at all. If you want to sell it,
Sure.
there's a much longer process.
So
And
do you
we
guys
have
go about the selling?
yeah, a lot,
And
but
then you have
not
to get it
personally.
cleared.
We have a team that does handle that.
Okay.
But and so some songs, some artists don't want us to sell,
I
but you
see.
know,
Yeah, sure,
and we
sure.
don't really make money, relatively speaking, from the covers. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That goes 85% plus to like publishers and to the other artists, which is cool. That's fine. You know, again, we built our business on YouTube by doing what we do and going on tour. And usually the artists are really kind about what we say and sing. But yeah, man, it's God. How do we pick? We do what makes sense. And the thing, like, you know, like we love doing classic country. People loved Ring of Fire so much, and we love Ring of Fire so much. We're always kind of in the back of our mind going, okay, what's another old song that we can reinvent in a cool way? Like,
Yeah.
and then you hear it on the radio and you go, I love this song. And then you bring it
Yeah.
up to the group and everybody's like, let's do it. Or you bring it up to the group and everybody's like, you know, and then you go push it to the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really organic process.
I totally feel that. You know what song I think you guys, or you personally, or the group would crush? And this is actually shout out to the person that Sharon, who actually gave me the ticket to go see you guys live. She was like, you know, I think they would crush this song, or Austin would crush this song, and it's "Dream On" by Van Halen. I think you would
Dude, I love that.
crush
Yeah.
that.
I love that, man.
I think that would be like right up your alley, man. Absolutely.
That's a great idea.
I think that'd be cool.
I've wanted to get into a season of us doing 70s and 80s like rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
we just
that'd be
haven't
sick.
yet.
Your
We've
own
talked about
versions
it
of
for a
that?
long time. So,
Yeah. Are there any songs that you would love Home Free to do that you haven't done yet? This is from Carla.
oh my God, yes. And the list is just endless. And I've got a whiteboard over there that I just keep up by my calendar. And every once in a while, when I think of something, I go and write it down. And actually, we just picked three. I just picked the three songs that we're about to do now.
Love that. Do you
You know, that
record
we
it
just
together or
started
all
this week.
separately?
We're all separate as of the pandemic. We used to
Yeah.
come together, and you know, it's always just one person in a booth at once. You know, we've never recorded all five of us singing at once ever, unless it's like a gang vocal, right? But otherwise, you know, the pandemic. That's one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that we can record at our house now. You know,
Absolutely.
we each budgeted to get, you know, the band got us each a microphone and a Pro Tools subscription, and we record ourselves
I love that.
with our producer, Darren Rust. I record with my own producer here because he's here and I have a studio in my house, but the other guys all video conference basically with Darren Rust, our unbelievable producer. And it's just like being in the booth in the studio with him, except you're in the booth in your house because internet now has gotten so lightning fast.
Yeah, it's true. That's so good. Last question from the subscriber, and I don't know who said this, but who is one artist that you would love to collaborate with?
Man, oh my God.
Or if you can name three, because that's a hard question. I like
course.
naming like a couple. So if you can name like two or three, then if that makes it easier.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, Travis Tritt, Garth Brooks, and Dolly Parton.
Wow, very cool. I think you guys would crush the Dolly Parton collab. The other two as well, but like that one, I would love to see.
Yeah,
that.
man.
And
We
that
like
would
to think it'll
feel
happen one day. She's heard us. She's heard our pitch to her, and told us it was amazing, and it was for a Christmas song. But she was like, "Oh, not this year because I have some things going on, but maybe next year."
Oh shoot! Well, that's cool that she even knows who you guys, your name and everything, right?
Yeah,
That's stepping around. I love that. That is so cool, man. Well, I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time. It was an absolute pleasure. I know that everybody that watches this or listens to this is gonna really, really enjoy that. So, the last question I have for you, like asking all the guests, is what is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
Oh wow, that's a good question, man. Wow. Well, this is, and now my other cat has made an appearance. This is Winnie, and she is a crazy young kitten that we found in Texas at 2 weeks old.
Wow.
At a backyard bash with Tim. So what is one thing that I wish I knew.
Now, well, that you know
Um,
now that you wish you knew when you started.
One thing that I know now that I wish I knew when I started. Um, to understand what it is to be conscious of living from my heart
Hmm.
first. Because so much of my career was built on the dreams of a teenager growing up in America,
Mm-hmm.
normal,
Sure.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. That's like, oh, that's all I wanted. And I thought that that was what music was going to bring to me. And it took me growing through a lot of things to realize that none of that is what I want. That's
Mm.
all ego based. Literally none of that is what I want on any level. All I want now is friends and family through this music
Yeah.
and an ability to have a livelihood
Yeah.
making art.
I love
And
that.
so I wish I could have gone back and told myself, hey, man, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. But of course, that's the great, the great
Yeah.
paradox is that now here we are, and it took all of that for me to learn.
Hey, but you know
It's
what? You got
it's a beautiful thing of
so
life,
much
right?
time though with it. At least you
Oh,
learned it
dude.
now and not
Oh
when you're
man, yeah.
75, right?
Absolutely right, absolutely. And because I see it all the time, man, in this business. You see these older folks, and they're still
Mm.
just lost in
Mm.
that egoic sense of what it is to be an artist. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look at me up here, I'm important.
Mm.
No, I'm not important. Okay,
Yeah.
you're important. Okay, I'm not important. And
Sure.
and I hope to retain that humility for the
Absolutely.
rest of my life because serving other people is the most important thing. And so maybe that's more so what it is. I
Yeah.
wish I could have taught myself service at a
Mm.
younger age.
That is so important, man. I love that. I think that that is so insightful. But like I said, at least you learned it now, and some people don't learn that until they're
Dude, absolutely.
so
All things
far.
happens for a reason. There's a divine
Hundred
timing to
percent.
everything, and
Hundred
I
percent.
feel I believe that even more with this experience.
I love that. I couldn't agree more, man. Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time. If you could hang out for 30 more seconds, I just want to say a massive thank you to
Absolutely.
everybody that made it to this far in the interview and this chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys are the true ones that made it to over here. So definitely check out Austin's stuff in home free, but also his own stuff. Like I said, austinbrownmusic.com. Go check that out. All the links to his social media and home free social media will be in the description below. So thank you so much. The best way to support this channel and my music is to support my music. You can check that out wherever you listen and download the new Jacob Restituto app on whatever phone you have. So you can download it internationally. Oh yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you very much, Austin. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'll see you guys
It's
in
an
the next
honor.
video. God bless and peace out.